Welcome, BBCers, to episode number 258 of the Broken by Concept podcast, the number one League of Legends solo queue educational and motivational podcast. We have some special live footage for you guys to start off today's episode. Curtis, take us away.
So, Cursory Crab is a member in the Midland Academy, and he plays Evelyn mid. Bit of an odd pick. And he sent me this video a while ago, and basically what this is, what we're about to witness. Now, again, there's going to be no video. We're going to put the video up, but we're not going to, this is an audio thing, so it doesn't matter if you're listening to this on a podcast, on Spotify, sorry. And basically, someone added him after the game and wanted to talk, wanted to get on voice comms with this person.
The old classico. Oftentimes, when people lose games, you get added, right? You see a friend request pop up.
And what we're gonna do is we're gonna play out. He actually recorded this interaction after the game with this guy, and we're gonna try and play it out. And then we're gonna have a bit of a discussion about the whole idea of, I guess, number one, accepting a friend request after a game. Number two, maybe really delve into the psychology behind this conversation. Number three, what can we learn, and what insights does this interaction give us about the broader League community? So I'm going to go ahead and press play, and then we can let it play out fully, and then we'll dissect it afterwards.
Oh, let's talk about the game, my friend.
Okay, I'm listening.
So, what do you want to say about the game?
I mean,
what did you do? They finished the game.
They did finish the
lost.
game. We didn't lose the
and
game.
We lost.
I can see that in my match history and my LP.
Oh, you're very clever, my friend. So, I was the jungler, right? I was usually playing bot lane, but this game I was playing jungle. I was getting invaded in both of my sides, and there was 1-5 Annie, and there was 9-1 you.
Okay.
Annie is coming, but you can't. Why? Because you think you're doing macro when you take those 3 minions on the lane, right?
Okay, tell me what point of the game this is, and I'll have a look.
Where are you from first?
It doesn't matter where I'm from. What point of the game?
It does. You're something like Ireland, something dumb.
Okay, and that affects my gameplay, does it?
It affects your mindset,
Oh, okay.
your personality.
Okay, so are you
where
going
are
to
you
talk
from?
about the game, or are you going to be racist?
I'm not being crazy. Why do you call me racist? Like, what the fuck, man?
You haven't said anything actually productive about the game so far. I've asked you what time you want to talk
weren't
about.
productive in game. Why should I say something productive, man?
So,
if you just used your lead, look, you muted everyone, right? Even though no one talked to you.
So this wasn't about the game. You just wanted to come here and play.
You're playing on mutual. You're typing shit. Annie is more useful than you because you're afraid to do something. I'm not flaming you. Look, I'm trying to talk to you normally.
Well, you're not. You're being very unproductive. You're flaming.
Okay, I'm not flaming. This is not
nationality
flaming. I'm
for
a
a
man.
reason.
I'm a man. I talk like a man.
Okay, yes. This doesn't sound toxic at all. No, continue, please.
Sure, I will. You had the lead, my guy. You can use it. You're Evelyn. You're fat as fuck. You can demolish them all. And I was here ready to help you to do something, but no. You don't want to kill them. You want the enemy to live. You're muting everybody like a fanboy. I think you are, which is not a flame. You can be a fanboy. You're not doing anything to the enemy, man. You're allowing them to enter my jungle, kill us all, and that's all. You're 9-1 and doing nothing.
Okay.
9-1 and doing nothing.
You're saying this without actually specifying what point in the game. Talk about
What do you mean, what point? Am I supposed to remember the exact minute?
No, but you have the ability to go into the match history and look at the replay.
Why should I do that, man? Do you really believe that we lost because us or because of you?
I'm telling
They
you.
finished the game. Annie was flash ulting me while 1-5. She was 1-5 and brave enough to enter my jungle with Ivern.
That's wonderful. You can say this.
You never come to Drake.
You can say any of these. You can say anything. You can say that the pike was hitting QE flash R, fucking insecting your nan into a coffin. Like,
the problem was you.
You can just
punish
say
all
any
of
of
them,
this, and it doesn't actually
you can punish
provide
all
anything.
of them. Soraka was a girl. Fuck the girls.
in the game.
Soraka was
All right, we're gonna stop it there.
Dude, he dropped the nan in there. It's awesome.
So for our Spotify listeners, I think there is still some good context on the screen there. So Cursory Crab here, this is from his POV. He's bringing up the VOD, and he is quite fed in this game. He was 5-0 at one point. He's currently 9-2 on the screen now. And the Jarvan here is the jungler who's on voice comms with him. I love how raw this interaction is. People are emotional after games, and... where do we want to start for this? Okay, well, let's just start with BBC fundamentals. I love that Cursory Crab here is where he's instantly trying to get into the details. The Jarvan player is not receptive to that. We want to talk. He's trying to talk at sort of a higher level and, throw out, blame who it is, but let's get into the details here. It's really important. Whenever you talk about League, you've got to bring up the game.
Yeah, I think that's a great place to start because this is the thing, right? Is that League is not a game where you can talk about you can't talk about it in generalities. There's no I felt this kind of happened.
Especially straight after a game that you have lost. Especially. And if you're not, you can't compose yourself.
Yeah, well, I think to be more specific, the generalities and the feelings are a starting point. That's not the end of the conversation. That's a start. If you felt as though you got invaded on double sides and it felt wrong, cool. Use that as an indicator that you need to do some digging and find out actually what happened. Because that isn't what happened. That's what you think. That's the outcome. You want to look at the inputs, not the outcome when it comes to the game.
Exactly. He may have been invaded and had no side lanes prior, but then the question is, okay, well, why did that happen? What led to that event? Did I miss path? Then this is where...
Was the game already fucked and there's no point even reviewing at that point, And
I want to start with, I guess, League is a game where it's emotional. We're all emotional, all right? And the reason it's emotional is because it's competitive, right? We all care. We all want to win. It's competition. It's messy. But that's what makes it fun, right? And the reality is that if you've had a tough game, things didn't go your way, we're not Buddhas. We're not robots. We're all emotional. It's very hard to just go straight, boom, replay. I'm going to open that up, pinpoint my mistakes, yippee, get the learnings, move on. That's not very normal. Some people can do that. Maybe you can do it every now and then. But the average passionate, competitive League player needs to maybe take a second, get up, get some water, maybe just walk around, just get off your goddamn chair for a second. And even I do that. Even we do this. We're veterans of the game. We're coaches ourselves. We have all the knowledge in the game, and even still we need to just cool off a little bit because we're not ready to be logical and break down the game.
And this is not to say that maybe it is this Eve player's fault. Maybe that's the conclusion after that. But that step should be number 7, not number 1 of okay, lose the game instantly. Here we go. Let's get this guy on voice comms and let's just tell him how bad he is at the game and how he didn't close out the game. He was useless with his lead. That should be, and the whole conversation about the way the guy's going about is not productive at all, as Cursory Crab is saying. It needs to be you focus first. Put yourself in the Evelyn shoes. Maybe Evelyn made some mistakes. Understand why the Evelyn made mistakes, because it's not so much just you. I've lost the game here, I lost the LP, but the Evelyn making mistakes. Let's say if he did, you learn how to beat players as well from that, because you're going to say, okay, I see the Evelyn, Evelyn fighting without ult or whatever. That's actually a good window for me because they're ruining the game. So there's so much to learn from you becoming a more deadly player in the future from your own teammates' mistakes, because you're all in the same rank. They're all going to be making the same mistakes.
Now, where I want to take this is that, if you're listening to this podcast, you're already you're in a bit of a niche part of the community, right? That, some of our messages, taking max accountability, getting into the details, reviewing, having a process, all these sorts of things. This is not the norm, okay? The average League of Legends player probably doesn't review their gameplay, probably doesn't know how to identify mistakes, definitely doesn't take accountability and responsibility.
When you say the norm, because it sounded like you were saying what we just witnessed is the norm.
The process is
that's the norm.
Yes.
What we're
the norm
talking about
is more like that. Maybe that's a bit extreme.
Yeah,
that's probably is extreme, but probably not as uncommon as we might want to admit.
I would honestly go out on a limb and say this response from this Jarvan flaming the Evelyn is pretty close to the norm. Maybe not the racism But the anger and the frustration and not getting into the details, refusing to pick a timestamp and be like, here, that whole thing, I would say that is the norm.
Yeah, and also quite acceptable in the league community. Like, people listening to this might already be tuned out. It's like, oh, that's just like, why are these guys overanalyzing this or whatever? This is fine. It's a game. It's just a game, guys, or whatever it is. I reckon the Eve maybe, I'm on the side of Java or whatever. Yep. This is again why we're more the niche crowd here at the BBC. This is why you're saying that's not normal.
Exactly.
The process taking accountability. Taking accountability is like a very foreign concept for most league players, unfortunately.
And this is why you I think you have a massive edge in your league journey if you're able to be logical about how you're contributing to a game. That's just a fact, right? This Jarvan, who's blaming the Evelyn for all these errors, is not being logical about how they contributed to the game. So this is one of the biggest contributing factors to why people plateau. Yeah. They fail to get into the details and be like, how did I respond in these situations?
Something Nathan talks about all the time from a jungle perspective is how easy did I make the game for my Fed member? Like, that Jarvan could actually review the game through the Eve's lens, but instead, like, okay, how could I have played better around Eve? Could I have synchronized my engages with her ulti? Could I have only invaded when she had push? Could I have hovered her when she was overextended? Actually get specific. Like,
could I sacrifice the camp? Sometimes you have to give a camp or something.
Yeah, definitely.
These are very important questions. These are the first questions to ask rather than blaming Eve. How could I have made Eve's job and played with my strong member better?
Because it's fundamentally out of your control. And that's what one of the key messages we always talk about. It's all about focusing on what's in your control. And it's really, just, I guess, piggybacking off this, I actually was, when I was learning jungle, I had someone add me after the game. And this person was a mid laner. So I knew exactly what they were doing wrong. I have complete clarity over the situation. And this person immediately added me after the game and said, you're a trash jungler, whatever the hell it was, right? But I played a very, very good game. And my one big mistake, my end of review moment, was because they spam pinged a target and I compensated and I went in, right? Now I took responsibility for that. I in my review, I'm like, yep, that's on me. I should have ignored this guy. I shouldn't have gone in, whatever. But you know what? The next level, what he should have thought is he was in a bad situation. If he looked at that really bad scenario, going above and beyond, and obviously, again, not the norm here, but above and beyond would be, you know what? Yeah, I actually kind of did gaslight my team here, and I actually did bait in my jungler here. This is actually a terrible fight.
That's such a good learning, by the way.
That's the learning. Because we always talk about how easy it is to influence your teammates. That's the next level of responsibility.
Yeah. No, I had a game recently. I've been playing a lot of games in the Discord, and I was like, smashing this Kai'Sa game, and I focused like this one moment in the game where I was like 8-1, I had perfect CS and everything. Before a dragon, I stepped too far up mid-wave, and my body language gaslit my team into going in, and like my Maokai died or something, and we had to give the dragon, and the game looks out of control. And that was my learning from that game. It's like I needed to be way more precise with my body language because it's so easy to gaslight teammates in the game.
100%.
Because everyone's so afraid on edge of getting flamed by everyone, right? It's like, oh, if I don't go to that, this guy's going to say, oh, why didn't you go in? Why didn't you play that better? Everyone's constantly on edge.
Yeah.
They're
playing a social game.
Yeah.
I don't know how to explain it. It's like they're trying to balance correct and incorrect decisions with the social dynamics of not pissing anyone off, because isn't this something you guys often see in reviews? I know I do, where people, especially newer members, really try and keep everyone happy in the game. And then once the game's over, then we can just like blame and excuse and just harass everyone. But in the game, it's like we need to pretend we're all on the same page. And like that fear of pissing people off is very detrimental. Yeah, I mean, there's something else you were talking about earlier, Curtis, which is like, you shouldn't try and fix these people, right? I know you were talking about this off camera earlier. Like when someone does have such a negative response, it's like that person's not ready to be, I guess, rehabilitated, right? We're not going to try and educate them on the importance of taking accountability and, sorry, Jarvan, instead of flaming me, let's get into the review. Have you thought about what you did wrong in that game? It's just a pointless exercise.
He doesn't want to hear that.
No, and it's not ready to hear that, and it wouldn't do anything. It would just anger and just lead to more confusion.
Because this is the thing, right? There is no way, there is no possible path that conversation can take where the Jarvan's going to turn around and be like, yeah, you know what, buddy, I actually did kind of mess up this game, and you're actually kind of right, and yeah, it was my bad. That's never
I'm imagining someone with just like an insane amount of charisma who could like look at the Jarvan in the eye and be like, it's okay, man, like I completely understand. Like, I did mess the game up. Let's talk about it together. Like, maybe there is some ultra charismatic genius who could do that, but it's probably not going to happen.
Very, very unlikely, right? And so what happens is that when people start to get into these conversations, you see this all the time. You see it on Reddit. We see it on our Skool community. We see it on the YouTube comments. Sometimes, not everyone can be disarmed. Not everyone is ready to hear these messages. Not everyone is ready to take accountability and responsibility and actually get into the details of the game. And this ties into the big conversation I want this kind of episode to be about. Is I got sent this little vignette or story about bean soup, and essentially the story is there's this person who has this bean soup recipe online, and there's all these comments in the beans under the bean soup recipe saying, "Is there any substitute for beans? Is there anything else that I can use?" And then the theme of the whole point of the story is like, it's, if you don't like beans, then choose a different fucking recipe. Why are you on this bean soup?
They're trying
recipe?
to brute force it for some odd reason.
Exactly.
It's honestly so good, that story. It's cracks me up so much. It sounds like a parody, but yeah.
And
People are genuinely asking.
People
It's
are
like,
genuinely
what
asking.
can
Please, I need to make this bean soup. What do I use instead of the beans?
Yeah, exactly. And I think that like some people are just like, it's just not, if you're asking that question, you're in the wrong place. Yeah. And I think some people in League, tying this back to League, is that they're just simply not ready to hear these things. They're not ready in their journey. They're not at that stage in their League journey where they want to genuinely change their behavior. And we talk a lot about on this podcast, hitting rock bottom before you're ready to change. And we have a lot of people write in and say, "Oh, my friend has a toxic relationship with the game. My friend has a fixed mindset. What do I do?" So I want to kind of talk a lot about this. How would you guys, if you had a friend out there that had a toxic mentality or, didn't get it, and you're thinking, "Oh, how do I help this person?" What's the best, most practical way to do that?
Actions leading by example. That's always my response to these type of questions. As you said, Curtis, we've had many mailbag questions. People really want to like save their friends because your friends, you want what's best for them. League, unfortunately, can can bring the worst out of people, and it's a competitive environment, and some people are just not going to be ready for that. And I think the best thing for you to do is yourself get results, lead by example, and then they'll start to be like, "Oh, that's interesting. This guy's talking about the game this way. This guy's approaching the game this way. He looks like he's having, it maybe not even be climbing, but just having a great time with the game." It's like, "Okay, I accept my level of play. This is the mistakes I'm making. I'm ruining the game here, here, and here." And then, maybe they follow, maybe they're not, but leading by example is very powerful.
And this is kind of what you're doing, similar to the Botland Academy, Charlie. You're doing a bit of a 30-day challenge. Do you want to maybe kind of talk about what the motivations are behind that?
Yeah. I guess it's kind of based on the whole Dantes thing. How he did a 80 carry challenge and kind of bombed that. So I'm like, okay, I'm just going to do like the most, like, I guess, normie challenge I can, which is I'm going to play League of Legends for 30 games and review all my games, which just sounds so boring, but it's been so much fun. I'm just like streaming all my games in Discord. I'm playing like 1-3 block a day, between 2 and 4 games a day, basically. And yeah, I'm just uploading all of my games, reviewing all of my games, and uploading those reviews as well. And just kind of exposing what playing League of Legends could look like. Because I just wanted to have this library of just an example. Like, this is League of Legends. Like,
this is what a process looks like.
This is what a process looks like. Because I think I'm pretty good at reviewing games, I will say. So my reviews are very short. I think people will be shocked at how short my reviews are. They're like 8 minutes is very long. It's like 2 to 5 minutes with most reviews. And
that's
like
our recommendation for our post-game review.
And I'm like articulating what I'm talking about as well. So it could even be faster than that. But yeah, I think that there needs to be more examples of Nathan Mott style boring process, So yeah, that's kind of why I'm doing that. I think it's a bit of a counter narrative to what a normal challenge would be like. But just one other thing, by the way, in terms of like the friendship stuff, like I think this is a bit uncomfortable, but one of the most powerful things you can do to a friend who is not necessarily exhibiting the best behaviors, but maybe wants to have a process, is you need to step away. Let them come to you. Don't go to them. You actually need to remove yourself temporarily for sometimes an extended period of time for their own good from that relationship. Because if they're constantly exhibiting the poor behavior and then you're just next to them, placating them, having the conversations, almost toying with them, like it's so hard to like be around them and not placate them. So you must actually physically remove yourself. Don't talk to them. go off on your own, do your own thing, like Nathan said, lead by example, and then don't reconnect. Let them come to you, because that's the most powerful thing. It's like, finally, you've now come to me. Now I can help you. You know?
Are you saying don't connect to them about like talking about mindset and approach? Like, you know, you're still a friend, you can talk to them, but you said disconnect when it comes to like, oh, you're going to talk about league. You start flaming your teammates, mute on the Discord. That's the instant mute or something like that, you know? Is that what you're saying?
I guess it's hard for me to relate a little bit because, like, I don't know how people's relationships are online a whole lot. It depends. If you
have online friends, Charles.
I do have online friends, but it depends if they're in-person friends. They just fucking expose. I don't know where that came from, but if they're an in real life friend, don't talk about League. If they're an online friend, again, try to talk about other things that isn't League. And if League comes up, try and just like end that conversation fast.
I've had so many people success stories where people they've had to say they've disengaged from their friends.
I mean, I delete people on the client. I'll just say it. Like, I said someone in my game recently who I actually played a bit of amateur with once, and I was in a game with them, and they died like 15 times typing up a storm, off the friends list, gone. No, you know, and I want them to see that they're off the friends list as well, so they can think about it. You know, just have a think. What have you done? So I think there is a power in like stepping away.
An interesting dynamic I've seen is sometimes, if you're always there for them, it's kind of like
encouraging the behavior.
It kind of gets, there's like this really toxic dynamic that I've seen a lot in the MLA, where they're in a rut or they're in a hole, right? And then they kind of getting all this attention, you know, about like, oh, you just need to do this, you just need to do this. And in a way, they kind of want to prove that they're an outlier subconsciously. And this is where this self-sabotage, like there's a lot of toxic self-sabotaging that goes in League, in League, where it's like, you're telling me all this, I'm kind of doing it, and it's still not working. And it's kind of like a way of justifying in their mind that, like, you know what, I'm different. You know, nothing can help me. It's like it's this weird. There's a lot of like weird psychological kind of aspects.
Well, it's venting. Like we don't allow venting in our communities for this reason, because we know that it's just providing a negative outlet. Like venting doesn't necessarily serve a great purpose. We think when it comes to improving at the game, like. Reflect, don't vent.
Figure out yourself before you start typing up essays in
because you're right, it is an excuse. Instead of thinking about it and solving your problems, you can just type them out to someone else, and then it's like your problem now.
Your
like
problem, exactly right.
Exactly.
You guys figure it out.
It's
very lazy.
It is 100%. And it also reminds me of two things. So Zayu, I did this BBC episode with Zayu, and he said, you know, he's got this whole philosophy about helping gamers become like healthier, right? Have a healthier lifestyle. And he's, you know, he tries to mention it, but he's really taken more so the approach of just like, oh, you know what? I'm just going to be a healthy individual, you know, show that I'm drinking a lot of water, to maybe say that I'm going to the gym, show I'm going to the gym. And but he's not like pushing it. He's kind of just showing it. And then obviously being, you know, and I love that approach, you know, just showing it, not maybe talking about it too much. And it also reminds me of this Skool post. There was a Skool post a while ago, a few days ago in the Skool community that said, my brother's playing Volibear top, and he said he only likes Volibear.
He doesn't like League or whatever.
Yeah, he doesn't like
League. He doesn't like the game, he just likes Volibear.
He just likes Volibear. And then he complains about playing Volibear into Teemo. Like, what do I do? How do I get him to, like, you know, expand his champ or get into the details or whatever? And I'm like, you know, just let that guy cook. You know what I mean? Let him cook. Let him let him do his thing. If he wants to be a volley one trick and complain about Teemo and he's not being receptive to your feedback, then let him do his thing. Yeah. You cannot change. There's a lot of people that aren't ready to change. They're just not ready to change. They haven't hit a point where they're motivated to change.
Exactly.
Right? It's like the whole, you know, lead a horse to water, you can't make him drink. Like we can give, I've had another guy in one of my reviews, and he said, this is what, I'm not going to say names, but he said, he's been in this like gold for silver for like a long, long time. Spamming games, a shit ton of games, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of games over seasons, right? And he keeps playing complex champions, right? Talon, Yasuo, Yone, Katarina, all these champs, right? Aurelia, and he's not going anywhere. And I said, okay, what you're going to do is you're going to play Neferi, and you're going to follow this process. You're going to come to a review, and he comes in, he's doing well, he's winning a lot of his games. And then he shows me this VOD where he goes in the middle of the game, he's like, oh, I just get bored. I just don't want to, and he's going to win. I'm like, you're going to climb, but I just got bored. I can't do it. And I checked out or whatever. And said some shit about Neferi, about being boring, whatever. And I said, well, mate, what do you want? You want to climb. So you listen, you're going to play Neferi, come to review, and then tell me that you're bored to prove that you can't do it. Like, what do you want? And I said, look, mate, I'm giving you the formula. You want a result. Do you want to do it? I can't make you do it. I can't play the game for you. What do you want? And this whole thing is like, sometimes you just can't make people change. They're not ready to. They don't really want it. No. You know. And like, I think that this is the whole rock bottom. I thought he was at rock bottom. Obviously, he wasn't at rock bottom. And I just think that that's the theme when all of us sometimes, when it comes to change, you got to want to change.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of feel for people like that, because it's like, they might listen to the podcast and they hear like Nathan and me talk about like boring League of Legends being fun, and they're like, oh,
so fun.
Don't feel like you're a piece of shit if you don't feel like boring League of Legends is fun. Like, you can enjoy League in your own way. Just because we talk about it in a certain way, it's not how you need to think about League. Yeah,
but own it. But that's
dude, if you want to play Yasuo and Talon and stuff, just admit that to yourself.
And just go in on every wave and
do what you want. Like, don't feel like. But I will say that when I've had many people in Botlane Academy like come out of the other end of that tunnel, and it sometimes takes them ages. Like, they do feel good after the fact. And oftentimes, I will say, you're probably sandbagging. You probably do want to climb, and you're probably just like inting kind of. It could be even unconscious, but okay. I mean, this could be a bit rude, but like, I think you could be afraid of the work a little bit. It's actually very easy to just play Call of Duty League of Legends and rock up after school, put your school bag on the bed, grab the Xbox controller and just like play some Talon and Yasuo and spin around on waves. And when you do your Neferi, it's kind of like doing your homework, you know? And like, we've got it, like the homework's important. I'm crafting this as we go. The homework is important, but like the Xbox control's there next to you while you're doing your homework. So you need to just actually remove all temptation for doing that in the first place. And then you're seeing they're doing your homework, like, oh, but Xbox is more fun than homework, you know? So it is a bit of a paradox. Like,
it's a paradox, right?
I don't know.
It's so interesting.
I don't know.
And that's why I think it comes down to like, just what do you want to, what's important to you? Do you really want to get results or not? You know what I mean? Like, do you want to climb or not?
I think it's a spectrum. I think you're somewhere in between. Like, I'm going to play Malzahar every game and just like have a boring process and win. And I'm going to be an Akali, Yasuo, Kiana 3 trick. And like be stuck in iron, you know, like someone somewhere on that spectrum.
Yeah, no, totally. Yeah, and I guess it all circles back to the whole thing about just being aware, just being self-conscious about your situation, being honest with yourself. Have that tough conversation with yourself. What do you want?
Yeah.
What do you want to get out of your time playing the game? You know, and that solves most of your problems at the end of the day, right? If you're really honest about what you want to get out of your experience, it solves a lot of problems.
Yeah, no, it does. Behaviors and goals aligning is. It's everything. It's absolutely everything.
I want to talk a little about. We're going to change paths here a little bit. I want to talk a bit about climbing one rank at a time. And so in the Zayu BBC episode, he kind of spoke about he was kind of confused about he's in silver and gold, and he would look at challenger, games, and he would watch what they do, and he's like, but they're just hitting camps. They're farming, farming heaps. They're not fighting that much. They're not grouping that much. Like, he says, and then he's like, but my games, all these things are kind of happening. There's fights all the time, but he's hearing these challenger players are giving him advice about like, you just got to keep farming and farm really well and blah 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 blah. And but he's like, well, what do I do? There's a fight here. If I can win this, should I just not go to this? And so. I want to, Charles, I know you've thought a lot about this. You want to maybe elaborate on the whole kind of concept of maybe where this comes from, where this confusion comes from between maybe challenger play, lower elo play, the differences, and then maybe the whole philosophy about climbing one rank at a time?
Yeah, definitely. I think like what first comes to mind is like embracing the chaotic nature of solo queue and solving the problems that are actually on your screen. I think that's what it comes down to. Like, it's all well and good to hypothesize about like what would be the theoretical best play, and like, yes, if you do kind of just ignore what's going on and catch side waves and get really farmed, you can win later on and stuff like this.
Or the best play style.
Yeah, or the best strategy or style. But like, in reality, League of Legends is so much more like jazz than classical music. You have to be willing to adapt to the flow. You need to be able to improvise. You need to be able to join in when your teammates maybe make a mistake. You've got to like quickly adapt and start playing in a different fucking chord pattern or something, right? I actually use this analogy a lot with rigid-minded people. It works really well because like people think that they're just trying to play this beautiful piece of music and they have to correct the mistakes in the music and just like play this perfect thing. But it's so much more than that. Like, this bleeds into the review as well. Like, when you're trying to solve problems or maybe getting coaching from challenger players who mean well, by the way, they mean well, they're trying to solve problems that aren't actually physically present in the game. For example, they'll say things like, this wave, why did you push this wave? If the enemy were good, I hate that terminology, they would have frozen. Or why did you stay for this T2 tower? If the enemy were good, they would have done Baron. It's like, well, mate, they fucking didn't do that. They didn't do Baron. They didn't freeze the wave. So we actually do need to be slightly results-based here. Because if it wins, it's good. Like, I know it's going to piss people off. I'm probably going to think I'm like a shit coach or something. But yeah, you need to win the game you're in to get to the next game to win that game. And like, that's what you're getting at. Like, you need to learn the game rank by rank. There's no such thing as setting good habits from the start, because it's like, what's a good analogy for this? It's like trying to set good habits, cooking Chinese food when you're literally in a French restaurant. You're not in the right environment to set those habits. Yeah. That's a terrible analogy, but you kind of get the idea, right?
Yeah, because your League is this progressive journey. It's not from, you don't jump, you don't skip steps.
No.
There's no skipping steps in League.
None of us skip steps. No. We played like in the ranks we were at, every rank, one by one.
And this is where the cognitive dissonance, I think, in coaching exists, where coaches forget all the work that they've done to get where they are. They think, and then they're at this end result, right? They're at this end point, and and in their mind, they're thinking, oh, all you got to do is this, and you're going to go from here to here. But they're forgetting the thousands of games that they played and all the things that they've had to learn that got them there in the first place. It's kind of like they're discounting the fact, all these things that they did. And it's just almost like this like elitist style of coaching where it's kind of discrediting all the messy elements and the improv that they did to kind of get there. And I think
also the order of as well what they learn things. A lot of people just skip over. You talk about, Charlie, about the figure out what's on your screen. A big part of that, step number one, is how do I play my champion?
Yeah.
How do I hit my abilities? Do I hold my EQ? Like, these are the things that
what do the champions do?
What do the champions do?
And unfortunately, that just never comes up in these reviews you see on YouTube. No. It's like skipping over skirmishes and fights, looking at rotations and deploys and stuff. Like, let's look at how the Amumu played the fight.
Zayu mentioned a fight. He was telling me this game where he played a bit of Vex before he was playing Dyna, right? And he was at a fight and he was saying how because he had experience with Vex, he knew that the Vex was going to throw R. So he was thinking about the Vex R, and then he tried to take the Vex out of the fight or something, so he didn't get the big AoE.
Hundreds of LP right there.
Yeah, and that won in the fight. Right. And so that's nothing about camps and whatever. It's just
playing
about
two lanes with Baron and stuff.
It's just fighting well. You know what Vex does. You know how champs interact, and this is what blew Zayu's mind is that the idea that League is a fighting game first and foremost. It's a fighting game, then a strategy game, not a strategy game, then a fighting game. But I do want to circle back to what you said, Charles. About I've never heard you say that before. That jazz. I think improv, like thinking about League, every game is like an improv jazz session, is probably one of the best metaphors I've ever heard of solo queue, because think about it. If you're thinking that League is a game of like classical, it's like everyone has a set piece of music and everyone's going to go in and
you got to play perfect. I have 10 CS per minute here. I have to do, I have to go. I always
follow this.
I always need to go to like the side wave and push that first, and not just.
That's
like
what the sheet music says, right? That's the sheet music.
That's the sheet music.
That's the sheet music. But and then what happens if that's your mentality when someone makes a mistake and that ruins where you're playing? In your sequence.
What if someone mistakes a mistake, you just keep going on tempo, playing the same little violin, just like inting.
That's what people do this. Yeah. People do this. Yeah. Because they've heard, I got to get to this and I got to keep split pushing, but then they're split pushing tier 2 and then their junglers in base or the team's in base and then they die and then they rage at their team for like not doing anything on the other side.
I get this all the time with midwave. It's like people have heard me say like you got to go midwave before objectives and all this important stuff, and they go out for the midwave and the rest of their team go and fight, and they're just there hitting the midwave with their little autos. It's like, mate, there's a fight. Like, what are you doing? Like,
but so where if you're seeing everything as jazz improv, you're never judging other people and what they're doing. You're just adapting to how they're playing.
Yeah,
and I love that. I think that's such a healthy.
But there's
approach.
Still rules. There are still fundamentals.
You're still playing it. You're still playing
in key. You're still playing like certain chord patterns. You still have to be able to read what other people are doing. Anticipation is very important, like noticing patterns.
It's a beautiful metaphor.
Yeah. I mean, if anyone's super interested in more of that stuff, like the Kenny Werner episode we did, it's called Effortless Mastery, is like, he's a jazz pianist, and we draw a lot of analogies from that as well. Really good episode.
And what I love about the Kenny Werner philosophy, and for those of you who haven't seen, he's basically this really world-renowned improv jazz musician. And he talks about like, not judging kind of what you're playing in real time. Like when you're playing, just go with it and don't judge what you're doing, because that's not healthy in the moment.
He says, stop trying to play well. That's one of his biggest lines. Just don't try and play good music. Just play. Express your best self.
So counterintuitive.
So
right?
counterintuitive.
It's crazy to say that. It's like saying don't get 10 tears per minute. Don't, but you do want to. You don't,
Yeah.
You just got to do what you got to play to your level. That's all you got to do. And whatever happens. It's no judgment. You can only play to your level, right? That's all you can do. But I think that there's a massive misconception in the League community. And where another thing that spawns out of this is the whole idea about picking the perfect champion.
That will develop the good habits.
Exactly right.
Oh, what champion should I pick to learn the role? Like all that kind of stuff.
It doesn't matter. And there is no such thing as picking the perfect champion, because every champion is just going to teach you a specific set of skills. And then you're going to have to champion cycle probably eventually in the long run anyway, whether you learn with whatever champ. And there is no such thing as picking a complex champion. It's not going to teach you more about the game. If anything, it will teach you less about the game. But yeah, there is no... Never worry about creating bad habits. And if it works at that ELO bracket, keep doing it. Keep doing something until it doesn't work. That's when you change. And the reason why psychologically as well is that you're not incentivized to change something if it keeps working, right? If it keeps working, how are you going to change? Where's the problem, right? That's the way feedback loop works. It's like there's a problem. Something's not working. You know what I mean? Then you change it because you see it as a problem in the first place.
You also just need to know the feeling of destroying the enemy nexus. Like, I just think that's so underrated. Like, you actually really need to know how to win games. I know we don't talk about winning very much, but you need to know how to win a game. And it's kind of hard to do that if you're just kind of trying to play like a challenger player, because it's not going to work.
The last thing I just want to mention on this topic is the disconnect between, and the disconnect between kind of the challenger players, coach, and then the first time they start looking at silver and bronze and gold gameplay. And I'm going to be the first to admit how hard that is. When we first started coaching the lower tiers, the silver and the bronze and the gold, it's overwhelming.
You always like to say that diamond, emerald, when you're looking at that, you already have like a baseline assumption of what they know, and you can sort of see their gameplay, right? So there's less that could potentially be going wrong with their games. But with a bronze, silver, there could be a million different things. You initially, I had no idea what to focus on. Now we know, we've built out all the content, all in our academies, and made guides and understand the champ mastery first and all that. But initially, it's overwhelming.
Yeah.
There's so much that could be going wrong.
And specifically, right, and this is the other thing as well, specifically, there is a disconnect between how that person, that higher ELO player would play in that game versus like how they think they would play. So like, again, Zayu, he was kind of thinking that, if a challenger player were to play in my games, they would just farm and never say no to these fights and play beautiful League of Legends and, all this stuff, right? But the reality is what I said, no, they wouldn't do that. They would just kill everyone.
They would make their lane opponent go 0-6.
They would be opportunistic plays everywhere, right? You would just be, they would go to that fight, kill them, they would come back. Yeah, there would be concepts, there'd be fundamentals, there'd be resets and tempo and,
They would actually purposefully play bad in some areas. They would purposely misuse skill shots in a way they would never in Challenger. They would step in certain ways. They would freak the enemy out.
Out mechanic people.
They would, they would betray the fundamentals in many areas because they know they can get away with it. So the way you think a very high elo player would play in your elo bracket would not look anything like you think it would. It would be very opportunistic. It wouldn't make sense to you, right? And so you got to get this whole idea out of your mind about playing beautiful, clean. Like, you want to try to play obviously as clean as you can, but again, the lower tiers are always going to be inherently chaotic because that's just the way that elo bracket plays out, and you need to lean into that. You need to embrace that reality.
I mean, it's just, again, like League of Legends, like what's the most important skill? It's just adaptation. Like, if you're not responding to what's on your screen, you're not playing properly.
All right, we're going to move on to Skool. Okay, the Skool post of the week. We have a free Skool community for those of you who are interested. Link in the description below. This one here was from a person named Real, titled, "Should I Give Up on Playing League?" So look, it's a long post. The TLDR is that this person has a bit of a scuffed relationship with the game and a lot of a lot of narratives saying things such as, I just can't improve. I can't play with high intensity. I can't play with intention. I'm bad at the game. I don't know, what I should have done to not get ganked. I'm so bad, I can't even imagine making good decisions. League is such a complicated game, and every map feels so chaotic and random and completely incomparable to other ones. And here are just a few other things that they're unhinged takes. Veigar.
I like how we're just admitting this just flat out. Like, Veigar is the worst champ in the game. Jungle is overpowered, and average jungler is about twice as strong as a champion of different role. ADC is by far the most useless role in the game. Caitlyn is one of the easiest ADCs to play. MF is one of the hardest. Itemization is important.
We're in Upside Down land.
Actually,
Upside down, yeah.
right? And he's just admitting these just flat out, right?
And he said there are more, but I think you get the point. I know these statements are wrong.
Yeah.
Or rather, they have been deemed wrong by people with far more authority over League than I could ever aim to have, yet they stem from my experiences, observations, analysis, and I cannot simply wish to change my mind over them, even if I realize I'm wrong in every single thing I know. So the reason I want to bring this up, is that, again, tying back to the bean soup, League isn't for everyone. We love League of Legends here, and we would love people to have a healthy relationship with the game, and we think there is a lot of beauty in League. But, if you have to bend over backwards and completely reinvent your whole life story and go through hell and back just to play a game of League of Legends and have fun, mate, you got to move on.
Yeah, it's not worth the effort.
It's not worth the effort. It's not worth the effort. Just quit. And I think sometimes, people are afraid to just say that League's not for them. Not every game is for everyone. And we tell this, in our academies all the time. We say, League's just not for you, man. It's okay. Maybe you need to play a game that's more single player, that like a fighting game, or maybe you need
Play
to
an easier game.
Easier game. Maybe you need to play an FPS or something. And that's okay. And I just think that if you have that much you have this crazy warped view of the game, I just don't think it's worth the effort and time. And again, if it's like the bean soup, it's if you're having to go through all these crazy mental hurdles just to have a little bit of fun, what are you doing? It's just not the most efficient usage of your time. And there are so many other games that you could play.
Yeah, it's just to be completely hyperbolic about this whole thing. It's hey, Curtis, so I'm trying to play League of Legends, and I hate the characters, I hate the map, I hate the roles, everyone's annoying, half the champions are OP, half of them are super weak, the items are really OP, but I don't understand them, I'm having a miserable time, how do I enjoy myself?
Yeah. And sometimes we feel like we have to give an answer.
Yeah.
At least
do this, you should sit at your computer this way, you should lock in this champion, take these, no, it's no. Move on.
Move on. And it's okay. You might come back a year later, 2 years later, 3 years later, or you may not. It doesn't matter. But I don't want... Because I know a lot of people listen to this podcast and they enjoy it. And they may not even play League. I never want people listening to this podcast to feel like we're pressuring people to play the game.
And to have a process.
And play in 3 blocks and review their games. You need to go about your journey however you want. And there's things that we recommend and we think are great for developing a healthy relationship for the game. But we're not you. We don't have your IRL situation. We don't know what it's like to be inside your mind. You pull things. You might learn something from this podcast. You might take something from somewhere else. You need to be okay with sometimes accepting that League's not your game. And I just want to, I know this may be a bit of a negative post, and I don't mean it to be a negative. I just think it's more, I'm trying to spin it in a positive way where I don't want people to suffer. If you're feeling like you're suffering and you're not enjoying your time, move on. It's okay.
Yeah. Going in to play every game just to come out of the game to prove your narratives or create new ones, it's just a miserable experience.
Yeah, we were talking about this beforehand. It's none of us at any point in our League journeys had any thoughts like this.
Nope. Nathan, what about you? Is there the whole time you played League?
Well, absolutely. Ezreal's the worst champ of the game. And yeah, I've had these. Of course, we'll have.
No, but in the sense that it's to the extent that it makes you confused and you hate the game because of it. You would never. Would you hate the game because people on your team pick Ezreal?
Absolutely not.
We love the game League of Legends.
That actually motivates me more. So I got to play out of my mind to make sure that I don't.
That's what I'm saying. Obviously, we all have narratives.
Yeah,
Obviously, we all have narratives.
But I don't think I've ever I genuinely had my entire time playing League from season 1, from high school together. I don't think I've ever thought I hate the game.
Yeah.
Or I don't enjoy playing the game. There's never a time where I just didn't. It's if I didn't enjoy the game, I just wouldn't have played it. It's that simple. You know what I mean? Like I never would try to change. If the game didn't make sense to me, or I didn't enjoy that type of game, there's so many other games. I would have just played a different game. You know what I mean? Like, I just think that, like, you got to. I think this ties into I don't want to harp on about this, but the whole point of the pea soup thing is that it's at a society level. It almost feels like with hyper individualism, where we're trying to mold the world around us rather than pick where we should be directing our attention. And the social media algorithm and in the social media feeds, it's all personalized for you. You're getting ads and content recommendations, and everything is, it's like you're creating your own reality. It's like the world is molding around you. You know what I mean? And so it's creating this sense of kind of like, not entitlement, but it's like, you feel like you're the center of the universe.
You're the main character.
You're the main character. And everyone needs to just agree with you, and everyone should, it's like everyone should change for you.
Yeah, and there's always like siloed off little communities of people, Yeah.
League of Legends should change for you.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, we never felt like League should change for us.
We're
It's like,
adapting.
We're just adapting.
We're using the tool, this competitive tool, to express our best self and, have a lot of fun. That's what we're doing. And if we don't like that tool, move on to a different tool. There's a million other hobbies
and so
out
like,
there.
and it's like, maybe once you're at a point where you have authority, in the space, then maybe you can have more of a say and try to contribute to the direction. But it's like, we knew that when we were in an earlier stage of our journey, what the hell do we know? We don't know shit about it. Let's just go with the flow and let's see what happens and play and have fun,
Figure it out, understand the game, be curious.
Yeah, exactly.
It's way more fun that way.
Exactly right.
Great post. I love it. All right, mailbag time. Away we go. Song. Alrighty then. Our first question here comes from Elena. Yes. Hi Curtis, Nathan and Charlie. Elena here. I have kind of a follow-up question to the One Trick episode. How important is it to have a clear player identity? Should I actively try to look for it / figure it out? Or is it something that will naturally develop over the years? To me, it sounded like Nathan and Curtis had a clear idea of how they wanted to play the game. The skill shot-oriented long-range mages for Curtis, and for me, the tanky farming junglers when they started out. I have not been playing for very long, 2 years of ranked and another year of casually playing normals, ARAMs, but this is something that always has been very hard to grasp for me. I'm more of an all-rounder with a lot of stuff I do. So I was probably drawn towards that in-game as well, since I tend to enjoy a variety of different playstyles. I know if you enjoy the game like that, that's not an issue at all, but I often feel like I would love to go deep on one style/view in order to gain a deeper level of understanding in that area. Since it's harder to go deep with a more broad approach to the game, I sometimes feel like I make it unnecessarily difficult for myself. I really struggle with figuring it out though. I started playing the game playing enchanters and mages as support mostly. Then I basically one-tricked Ahri and mid. I continued playing Diana, but went back to mages, maining Brand and Syndra eventually. I've climbed to gold 1 so far, but I'm still sitting in high silver / low gold at the moment. I really love Syndra, but I don't really like other mages much. I've loved being a strong laner and controlling the game, but I think I like the idea of mages more than actually playing them. I really struggle with staying alive and positioning on them, as well as having a small wins mindset. I recently figured out I have the impulse to go forward and go in a lot, which makes me wonder if I should focus on assassins and bruisers more. Kind of get into the dirt and fighting feels somewhat a lot more natural to me. I also really enjoy skirmishes like Ahri or Aurora, but when I think about what's the most fun to me in the game, it's likely a high burst and one-shotting people, probably why I prefer Syndra over other mages. How did you find your own player identity, and how would you go about looking for someone's in general? If you enjoy multiple things, is it just about sticking to one and making it to your identity, or would you rather keep it open then, since not everyone needs to be clearly defined as a player? I'm not sure if I'm just this assassin / bruiser player who should embrace this to get the most enjoyment out of the game, or if mages are just something I need to learn properly first in order to really judge my preferences, since it could really just be a skill issue considering my rank. I did go through a phase with assassins, right? So I'm trying to think about the archetype. I didn't like the idea of playing Rengar or Kha'Zix. Like I have played assassin junglers, like Evelyn, like the Diana is sort of an assassin jungler. I don't think just because you're a assassin player or like a mage player or whatever, you're going to like every champion. I think that it's like archetype plus champion, if you know sort of, what I'm getting at here.
Yeah, I think it depends on the person. Some people like champions, some people like classes, some people like roles. I mean, Curtis, what drew you to skill shot based champions? You were Ziggs and Xerath, yeah.
I think it was just I just found them fun and enjoyable. It was really that simple.
Was it the champion or was it the
actually
archetype?
A better question? Sorry to take away your question there, but was it intentional? Did you think to yourself logically, okay, Curtis, we're going to play skill shot champs? Or was it just kind of like you were naturally drawn to
That was
them?
natural.
Yeah.
I never thought about it.
So you never tried to craft a player identity, which is what I thought. That's probably the case. And I assume you, Nathan, as well. Did you intentionally try and craft a player identity, or was it just something you fell into?
That's a great question.
In the hot seat.
Yeah, I mean, when I started playing, I was playing. Yeah, I remember playing Nocturne, Teemo, Brand, Shaco.
Yeah.
So
Nathan was playing Shaco. He was a big Shaco player.
On Treeline,
Teemo.
right?
Twisted Treeline, yeah.
Nocturne.
Yeah.
No, you also
Played it. Yeah, I played everything. So yeah, I would say I fell into it. And then slowly after I played the game more, then I was like, okay, this is what I really like.
But this is the thing. Like, I think people think too much about it. It's all about, you got to just go with what you feel clicks with you and you kind of enjoy. I think it's a combo, right? And I think I want to. Okay, so I think there's three things that quickly I want to talk about. You need to understand that what you pick is not going to stay there forever.
Yep. Just
go through a phase. Just pick two champs that you kind of enjoy now. Boom, go down that rabbit hole. You might last for a few months and then move. You don't have to.
Maybe you'll be like me and 11 years later or 13 years later, you'll have played fucking 100 champs. The human brain is very malleable. It's like the human brain is a learning machine, dude. We're so good. The brain is just picking up new things. You can be one player 1 year. You're not going to have an identity for life. So don't think about that.
It's the same thing as the jazz. Don't view your journey in terms of classical piano. View it as jazz. There's nerfs, there's patches, there's changes, there's there's
it could even be out of your control. Yeah, 100%.
So I guess people think that's I want to get into the game. They have this fantasy. It's this is my champions and this is my pool, and then I ride that out until I'm 90 years old.
It makes sense because if you look at streamers and anyone who's successful at promoting themselves playing the game, they often are. Yeah. They're one tricks or they're people who play a specific thing. But that's not the case for the majority of people. Everyone's champ pool cycling one way or another.
And I also think as well, if your pool, if you may not just be the player that has a clean identity. You might just play Syndra and Ahri. You don't have to have a clear player identity. You just might be drawn to, the multiple types of champions. I'll give you an example. The first time I climbed to Diamond was with Hecarim. Jungle. I was a jungler.
Yeah, that's right.
So it's not like I started playing League and yay, I'm gonna play mages. I played a lot of games. I played Tryndamere a shit ton. I played Janna support a lot. Yorick top. I played Vayne.
You were a pro top laner, by the way.
Yeah, I played a lot. I played a lot of shit, and then eventually I got there. But I played a lot of different things, and I went through phases. So I think that it's okay to be a bit messy around the edges. I just think that not everyone's got that clean journey. It's okay. So don't think too much. Just do and change over time.
All right, next question here comes from Marlin. The title of this one is A Missing Concept in Champ Complexity. Hey guys, I really enjoyed your episode about champion complexity. I think that's the tier list. Maybe he's talking about that. Yeah, the tier list one.
There's also another one just before that called is my champion pool ruining my climb or something? That complexity.
Yeah, he's referring to the tier list one. Oops. Champion complexity tier list. I know it's a tough topic, and no matter what ranking you choose, people always have complaints. We definitely saw that.
Oh, yeah.
People were very angry that their champion was maybe lower on the champion complexity list, right?
We're freestyling. We do our best.
So I really appreciate hearing your perspective on what you consider complex in this context. There's one thing I think might be missing from your evaluation, though. How difficult is it for your opponent to play against your champion? Even if a champion is hard to execute, if it's also hard for your opponent to avoid making mistakes, that kind of balances things out. Let me give you an example. You ranked Zed in S tier. And I totally understand your reasoning. But if you think about the player facing Zed, especially in lower tiers, it's so easy to die and feed against him. Your threat assessment has to be spot on, or Zed will get fed without having to do much. The same goes for Katarina or Talon. These champions can punish you so easily that it often feels easier to play them than to play against them in many matchups. I think this should be mentioned. It's not the same kind of pressure as a player playing against an Orianna or Vel'Koz. If those champions kill you, your opponent actually outplayed you. But it doesn't always feel that way when you're up against assassins like Zed or Talon. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this perspective.
Can I just jump in before you talk about the stuff? Like, I don't know why. I assume he's an Orianna Vel'Koz player. He's not a Zed or Talon player.
Maybe.
Potentially.
Because he's just disrespecting how hard it is to play Zed and Talon and Katarina.
And you know what this is as well? So the human mind is very good at highlighting negative things over positive interactions because it's a survival mechanism for us, right? So, you know, when people say like, you know, Zed's open, they're literally just thinking about like 3 games in maybe like a 30 game span where the Zed was so fed, it was unplayable. And the game was completely over, absolutely unplayable. But now, in their mind, that champion is like, you know, OP or broken. But if you actually look at that Zed guy in silver, he's got like a negative win rate or whatever it is. You know what I mean? You actually look at his profile. So that is a consideration. I find that a lot. And that's what the champion plays. Again, like think about how much Caitlyn games we reviewed like in the arena and stuff like that. They can't close out games.
I have Master Tier. I had a Master Tier player recently in VOD questions, and they said, "Is it supposed to feel difficult to close out games on Caitlyn?" I'm like, yes, it is. Well done. And he's a Master Tier Caitlyn player. He's struggling to close games out. It's hard.
But he would have games. Like, again, you know, the question here about the enemy playing against an absolutely unplayable. Caitlyn snowballs it.
15 plates.
Yeah.
Bam, bam, bam.
Done.
End the game.
And that will stick in that saying that champion is actually the complexity because it's difficult to play against or whatever. That's like you know, an easier champion to execute. That's what I find. Again, this is where people talk about the game in generalities, and we just weigh these negative moments way higher than the positive ones, or like the free wins where the Zed just completely ruins the game or ends.
Yeah. I think there's 2 things I want to talk about. Number one, Zed and these champions, like Zed, Talon, whatever, the reason they can kind of get those kills in the lane and in the lower elo brackets is because there's like one ability that isn't understood well. Like if you understand how Talon's passive works with the W, and you know you space the W, the champion's never gonna kill you. If you understand how Zed's W works, how long that cooldown is, you're never going to die to Zed.
Yeah, like people don't punish the W being down, for example. I see this a lot. Like, you know, he can WEQ you, and if you get hit by it, that's sad. But that thing's down for ages. You can hit him back when it's down.
So in a way, once that Zed player starts to verse players that know how the ZW works, it gets very, very, very complicated because you're not getting those kills anymore and you start losing lane control and it gets very complicated. The second thing is exactly what Nathan said. Winning the game as these champions is very hard. A lot of people...
Over long periods of time, enough samples.
He means just killing the Nexus. Like, it's easy to solo kill, hard to kill the Nexus.
So, like, a classic example, champs like Yone, Talon, these champions, they can get kills, but they don't end the game. They can't end the game because team fighting in mid game with Zed is hard. Team fighting in mid game with Yone is very hard. So what happens is that like Nathan, like you said, maybe that you're all playing a champion that gets countered by that champion, right? And then you see these games where they get ahead and it's just an easy Zed game or an easy Yone game and they run over the game. But that is an outlier. That would be an outlier. And like you said, that would be a 48% win rate Zed player. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff there. So I think that also it's hard to talk about complexity without talking about rank as well. You know what I mean? Like I think that
we did. That was a battle that we had when we made that. That was a big question we were always asking.
Yeah. So but yeah. So I get what you mean. I definitely get what you mean. But I would suggest that you play Zed. Just try it out. Play it in normal games and report back.
Yeah. See where would you put that in?
Where would you put it? You tell me.
B tier, yeah.
You tell me. Where would you put it? You play it in normal games and try it out.
Yeah, so we wouldn't be considering, the question about the factor of how hard it is to play against because that's not really. Yeah, we're thinking about such niche situations.
It's built in. What do you mean? It's built in.
Yeah,
Think about it. Like how hard it is to do your job. That's built in, whether you're doing it or playing.
Yeah, there's still a human being on the mouse and keyboard.
It's the same thing. So, I just think that person needs to play the champion a little bit and then report back. Honestly, that's what I would, or even just let us know in Skool community. Let us know in the Skool community.
Yeah, I mean, just one tiny more thing. It is kind of just a really difficult topic to even discuss because we know that players in like specifically like below silver, bronze, and below, like they don't know what all champs do.
Yeah.
So everything you verse is gonna like be a bit complex in that sense because no one knows all the abilities.
All right, moving on here. Next question here comes from Alias. The title of this one is How do you know if you're hooked on a champion? Hello, Charles, Curtis, and Nathan. I am a top laner and have been subscribed to the Top Lane Academy for the past 2 months. I was already a Garen main before this, but the Garen guide and fundamentals guide really helped me understand my role and champion a lot more and took me from silver, almost bronze at the end of last year to platinum recently.
It's your Garen guide, Nathan.
My Garen guide.
Nathan's Garen.
Yes, that was our first guide. Well, I mean, it was all our guides. Come on, guys. But I did play a lot of Garen. I did contribute to that guide in the Top Lane Academy.
Common mistakes section.
Yes, I love that section. Love the common mistake section of guides. I think they're practical. They're very practical. Even prior to listening to your guys' podcasts and guides, I had an innate sense of wanting to take a champion to its limits, learning as much as I can and really honing my skills on them, as opposed to having a slightly wider champion pool and being flexible depending on the matchups. I thought I would want to do this on Garen. What I have realized in my journey is as much as I do enjoy playing Garen, I don't think I can see myself playing him long term, and I'm not quite sure I enjoy him as much as I did earlier in my journey. I began champ pool cycling on an alt account, trying to discover what champs I would enjoy more. I ended up playing 100 games of Cassante, and in the beginning I loved him. Around 60 to 70 games in though, the inconsistency in trying to climb with Cassante in lower ranks mixed with his high skill ceiling and complicated mid game left me feeling unsatisfied playing him. Recently, however, I picked up an old sword in Poppy Top. Have you not played her properly in maybe a year or two, and I've been really enjoying it so far, but I'm worried there might be another Cassante incident where I fall out of love with Poppy. What I want to know, if you have any advice for it, is what was it like when all three of you found your champs? The champs that defined you. How many games did it take? Were the losses as enjoyable, even more so than the wins at some points, purely through the thought of wanting to learn? I love the learning process for Cassante so far. It's the same for Poppy, but I'm not quite sure if what I'm feeling is the potential to 1 to 2 trick Poppy and Garen, or if I'm just in another phase of regular champ pool cycling. To clarify, I'm not opposed to champ pool cycling, but it's worth noting that I was happily married with Garen for the better part of 3 years, only really being good on Garen, and any of the side picks were just for a fun pick that I was god-awful on and made me realize how good I have it with Garen. Daily reminder to stick to the process, BBC listeners. Regards, Elias.
Love it. I want to pose, before we answer this, I want to pose a question to both of you. Have either of you played, one of your mains? Let's talk about one of your OG mains, right? Were you ever, losing more than winning on one of your OG mains? Were you ever struggling on your main? Did you love a champ so much? Did you love that champ despite... Have you ever been in a scenario where you love that champ so much, but despite losing the majority of your games?
No, yeah.
No.
Neither.
Not over a long enough... Obviously,
not enough. That's what I was thinking too.
Obviously, you have shorts. I've lost my mind with Jarvan and Rex at many points, but over a long enough period of time, I know how to get results with those champions, and I just need to lock in and focus.
I think that's built in what makes them fun for you.
Yeah, that's
you know what I mean?
right. Yeah, the challenge.
I think it's very. I think sometimes maybe we need to clarify this. We talk a lot about kind of enjoying a champion, but sometimes what makes a champ enjoyable is that it naturally clicks with your approach to the game. So you're naturally getting more results with that champion. When I think about my OG best champions, the ones that I love the most, I was just winning a lot of games with them.
Winning, as much as we talk about process, but you do need to kill the Nexus win, because League, if you're losing more than you're already, even if you are climbing, by the way, you're already losing a lot of games. If you're losing even more games on top of that, the game is not fun when you see the defeat screen 24/7.
I don't think I've ever genuinely loved a champ that I'm losing more than I'm winning. I just don't
and
think that's ever
I've
happened.
really tried to figure it out.
Yeah, and I've really tried to figure it out. Exactly
let's
right.
just
I
move
can
on.
lose in the short term, obviously, but I'll eventually win more than I lose.
Or I got to a point, I just realized how hard it is or whatever. It's just not for me. I was like, okay, I'm never going to bother.
That's what I did with Varus this season. I tried 40 games. No, not 40. 35 games maybe on Varus, and then, negative win rate. See you later.
Yep.
Not fun anymore, but because of course it makes sense. We're not robots, It's not fun at that point. It's not clicking.
So, I think So basically, what he's saying is that
Can I jump in here, Curtis?
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
like when he said, "How do you find your champs?" It's like emphasis on the S in that word, champs. No one here has their
Yes.
champ. Like we all have our little pocket pick, maybe. But at the end of the day, like I mean, Nathan probably more so than us actually has his champs, but. Like it just changes. There'll be eras in your life, and there'll be eras in your gaming life as well, and just embrace that, dude. It sounds like you're champ cycling. It might feel a bit weird, but just keep doing it.
that's what you should be doing.
Yeah.
He should be champ. Like that whole 100 games with Cassante and the
perfect.
Now
But that's
Poppy,
great.
yeah.
That's really good.
Keep going.
Keep going. You're
Agreed.
doing the right thing. And then what will happen is that you'll have your little pool. You have your little duo pool, play a little bit of them. You might cycle one of them out, learn some new things, develop some skills, move on. Like what you're doing is perfect. And there may never be a champ that you constantly have in your pool. You might just be the type of person that just cycles through, and that's okay.
And you could go through the whole champ part cycling, phase. And you said you were happily married with Garen. You happily for the better part of 3 years. Just you can go back into that. Make
It's not
up
going
the-
anywhere
it's
as
not
well.
going
Like
there,
you could cycle away from it and come back to it.
yeah.
I've
Yeah.
done that a trillion times with my champs.
Yeah, I mean, I had Lee Sin in my pool for probably like 5 or 6 years, but they weren't necessarily consecutive. I go sometimes drop him and come back.
Yeah, same with me and TF. Like I'll go through spurts with TF. I'll play a lot of TF and I'll put it to the side, coming back in. Like you just cycle things in and out.
Yeah, it's very similar to the Elena's question about this idea of this fantasy of like, that's my champion. I'm hooked on a champion and that's it forever. And I got to find the perfect champion for me.
And sometimes you just move on. I have moved on forever from champs. Like because you evolve as a player. Like I said this about my pool, how I dislike or I don't really enjoy champions as much that don't win the side lane as much. Like I just prefer to play champs that they can either A, play the map, or B, win the 1v1 in the side lane. I just don't enjoy those other champs as much, right? So
And I enjoy, from a jungle perspective, taking control of the early game, snowballing the game out to, in winning the game in 20 minutes.
So I used to love, again, Xerath and Cassio maybe less so, but let's say Xerath is a great example. I can't stand playing Xerath now.
Yeah, that's right.
Because it's not
limited.
how I like
Yeah.
to play the game.
Yeah.
I did used to like to play the game like that. I don't like playing the game like that.
And the
anymore.
game's changed.
And
the
the
game
game
has
has
changed.
changed.
Mid laners sucked at playing the side lanes back
Yes.
when Curtis played Xerath.
We're talking about
It
season
did-
3,
it-
season 4, season 5.
It didn't exist.
Yeah.
It just didn't exist. So yeah, I mean, different skill sets required to solve different problems in different seasons.
And you'll develop over time as you play more League. You'll find what your strengths as a player are, and you want to lean into those. Like all of us as players have particular strengths as players, and that's Nathan's gravitated towards his Jarvan and Rek'Sai because he's leaned into his particular strengths of the game. I've leaned into my more cerebral style of playing the game in mid game, and then same for you, Charlie, with the 80 carries that you're gravitated towards. You know what I mean? Like rather than the Varus, you prefer probably champions that can have a little bit more flexibility, right, and mobility.
Yeah, and I mean it changes constantly for me, but I would say over across the board, I'm a bit more like Nathan, I guess, early game focused. Like when I was playing top lane and stuff, I gravitated towards Renekton, things like that.
You love Misfortune.
Misfortune, Corki, stronger early game champions. Yeah.
All right. Good little discussions there about some champion pool stuff. Champions. That's why we have our choosing champion section in the jungle and the academies, because it's a big
Yep,
big
and
topic
our
in League.
champion pool course in the Skool community
Yes.
as well.
Yep. So again, you can join that WTL.lol/Skool. That's it for our podcast episode today, guys. Good work. Keep on improving. 3-block process. Taking accountability. Let's not be adding people after the game. Review your games first. Then maybe we can have a conversation. But even then, I would. There's a lot of end of review mistakes, guys, in our own games.
Let's end of review this podcast, Nathan.
Let's end the review of the podcast. See you guys next week.